Good afternoon, everybody. This is AKwx with the National Weather Service for August 6th. We have a couple options for you if you don't find what you're looking for in the weather program today. Our 1-800 number will take you through a menu system and a web page, weather.gov/Alaska. If you take off Alaska and put on Fairbanks, Anchorage, or Juneau, and again, we'll help you get to where you're looking for weather. And lastly, we do provide an email address there at the bottom of the page if you have any questions, comments, or suggestions. For the hazards map, we currently do not have any hazards out for the land areas again today, but just a heads up, we do have some small craft advisory and gale warnings out for portions of the Gulf region and down through the Alaska Peninsula into the Aleutians, and as well as along the west coast. So please check out the hazards map before you head out this afternoon or tomorrow. Precipitation estimates ending at 4 a.m. this morning. We had about an inch, half inch to an inch in the southeast interior, and also lighter amounts across the west coast and down through the Aleutians. And coastal mountains did have approximately a half inch to an inch as well, but otherwise lighter amounts across the rest of the panhandle. Precipitation estimates for ending at 4 a.m. tomorrow would be the possibility of 2 to 5 inches in the southern Alaska range and into the Kenai Mountains on the eastern Kenai Peninsula, but otherwise lighter amounts, especially across the western mainland and then down through the Aleutians and into the Alaska Peninsula, and also lighter amounts across the panhandle. I thought I'd share the drought monitor update that was done on August 4th. Yes, Alaska still has, or is depicting some areas in D0, abnormally dry areas in the Alaska, portions of the Alaska Peninsula into Kodiak Island and into the Kenai Peninsula and Prince William Sound area. For the satellite data this morning, you can see a low moving through the Bristol Bay region and into southwest, with an occluded front out ahead of that system moving through southwest and down through the Gulf area with a possible triple point in the central Gulf, but otherwise just general cloudiness, a few showers across the panhandle, and some rain across the west coast as well and up into the North Slope with a trough associated with that. Otherwise, there might be a few buildups in the interior and maybe some fog along the Arctic coast and down through the central and western Aleutians. For today's weather map, looking at that low in the southwest Bristol Bay area, 986 millibar low with an occluded front and triple point in the central Gulf, with moderate to heavy rain in Prince William Sound, eastern Kenai, down through Alaska Peninsula, otherwise lighter rain through the southwest, and maybe a few buildups in the interior with some thunderstorm activity today. And there's that weak trough moving through the North Slope, western Brooks Range, some fog out along the Arctic coast, and again down through the central and western Aleutians, and just some lingering showers right now across the panhandle. For tonight's weather, we're going to be looking at that low crossing into the Gulf region, low near Kodiak Island, 994 millibar low with a weakened included front. Continued possibilities of heavy rain through Prince William Sound, moderate rain into the northeast Gulf Coast and down through the panhandle. Also heavy rain possible in Ketchikan area of the southern panhandle. Otherwise fog through the central and pretty much all the Aleutians, with fog and rain in the central Aleutians as well, but light rain showers through the southwest and lingering showers through the interior around a thermal trough and low system with a 993 millibar low near the border of Alaska and Canada, and some fog along the Arctic coast. Friday's weather looks to be weakening low again in the Gulf there, 1,000 millibars now, just a trough moving through the panhandle, moderate to light rain down through the panhandle and northern Gulf, and rain showers down through the southwest and Alaska Peninsula, fog through the southern end of the Alaska Peninsula and into the Aleutians, and afternoon thunderstorms once again through the interior around a thermal low and trough system that pokes into Canada, and some fog across the Arctic coast. For Saturday's weather, A new system shows up in the Gulf region with a warm front, cold front system, 994 millibar low there. Moderate rain out ahead of that system, but otherwise lingering light rain across the panhandle into the northern Gulf and south central area with some rain showers, and afternoon thunderstorms continue across the interior. And once again, onshore flow, marine stratus along the Arctic coast, and a weakening low in the Bering, producing some light rain there, otherwise some fog down through the Aleutians. Low temperatures for Friday morning, looking at 40s across the North Slope with Utqiagvik 36, Point Hope 43, 47 in Arctic Village, Fort Yukon 52, 45 at Eagle, Northway 45, 50 at Fairbanks, 49 in McGrath, 49 at Aniak, 49 in Bethel, 49 in King Salmon as well. 50s and upper 40s down through the rest of the Alaska Peninsula into the Aleutians, with Savunga 40, Kodiak 52, 52 in Cordova area, 49 in Seward, Yakutat 49, Haines 52, 52 in state capital Juneau as well, and 54 in Ketchikan. For afternoon temperatures for Friday afternoon, 50s along the Arctic coast there, Utqiagvik 43, Point Hope 49, 70 in Fort Yukon, 67 in Eagle, 67 in Tanana, 68 in Fairbanks, 65 in Galena, and 65 in McGrath, 58 in Aniak, 58 in Bethel, 61 in King Salmon, Cold Bay 58, Dutch Harbor 54, and otherwise 50s down through the Alaska Peninsula, 40s and low 50s through the Aleutians, with Savunga 47, Kodiak 61, 58 in Seward, and 65 in Anchorage, and Valdez 58, Yakutat 58 as well, Haines 58, Juneau 56, 50s down through the rest of the southern and central panhandle with 59 in Ketchikan. For Saturday morning, dropping back down to the 30s and 40s across the North Slope with Utqiagvik 36, 43 in Point Hope, Arctic Village 47, 52 in Fort Yukon, 45 in Eagle, Bettles in 49, 50 in Aniak, 50 in Ambler, 52 in Fairbanks, Northway 47, and then we have McGrath 49, Aniak 47, Bethel 47, King Salmon 45, and Cold Bay 47, Dutch Harbor 47, 40s through the rest of the Alaska Peninsula, 40s through the Aleutians, Savunga 43, Kodiak 49, and Yakutat 49, 52 in Haines, 47 in Juneau, 50 in Ketchikan. Lastly, for temperatures on Saturday afternoon, looking at 40s across the North Slope with Utqiagvik 43, Kaktovik 45, Prudhoe Bay 52, Arctic Village 63, Point Hope 49, 70 in Fort Yukon, 65 in Bethel, Ambler 63, Nome 52, Savunga 50, Eagle 68, 67 in Fairbanks, 67 in Tanana, 61 in Galena, 63 in McGrath, 54 in Aniak, 58 in Bethel, 61 in King Salmon, Dutch Harbor, 56 Cold Bay, 58, 50s through the rest of the Alaska Peninsula, 40s and low 50s through the rest of the Aleutians, and 61 in Kodiak, 65 in Anchorage, 59 in Seward, 61 in Homer, 61 in Kenai, 58 in Yakutat, 59 in Haines, 58 in Juneau, 50s through the central and southern panhandle with 58 in Ketchikan. Just to summarize, Alaska weather looks like it's going to be rather unsettled with pretty good rain showers down through the southwest and into south central, with a pretty good occluded front and low pressure system moving through the southwest and into the Gulf region.
And now, aviation weather around Alaska.
Taking a look at the flying weather for Friday morning, with weak onshore flow around high pressure in the Arctic. IFR conditions will continue across the Arctic coast and along the west coast as well. Also, with systems moving through the Bering and into the Gulf, IFR conditions will be hampering those areas over the next couple of days, but otherwise marginal conditions through especially the mountain passes of southern mainland and into the Panhandle, with IFR conditions again through much of the Bering and into the Aleutians. For Friday afternoon, slightly improving conditions along the Arctic coast, otherwise marginal conditions down through the west coast and in through the southwest Bristol Bay area and along the North Gulf coast and into the Panhandle, with IFR conditions in portions of the Gulf and in through the Bering and Aleutians. For Saturday morning, again IFR conditions, weak onshore flow there, marine stratus, with IFR conditions and marginal conditions along the north slope into the Brooks Range, and IFR conditions down through the Bering and into the Aleutians and portions of Alaska Peninsula and into the Gulf and North Gulf region, otherwise marginal conditions in the Panhandle and southern mainland. And for Saturday afternoon, again slightly improving conditions during the day along the north slope, otherwise marginal conditions down through much of the western mainland and into the southwest and into the Alaska Peninsula. IFR conditions again through the Bering, through the Aleutians, and IFR conditions around another system moving into the Gulf, and marginal conditions through the Panhandle and North Gulf coast. For past conditions, Anaktuvik VFR at least for one more day on Friday. Same for Adigan, VFR conditions there. Lake Clark and Merrill went for marginal conditions early, VFR conditions during the afternoon. And rainy, much the same there. Windy, same conditions. Isabel, much the same. Mentasta went for VFR conditions the entire day. Look for marginal conditions in the southern entrance. And Tanita, marginal early, and then improving to VFR conditions during the day. Portage, look for IFR conditions in the east entrance, otherwise marginal conditions through the pass. And for Chilkoot and White down the Panhandle, marginal conditions there. For freezing levels on Saturday morning, 8,000 foot freezing level cutting across the mainland, 6,000 foot freezing level across the southern mainland. Otherwise, you have to go way down into the Gulf to find 8,000 foot to even 10,000 foot freezing levels way down there, and that's also 10,000 foot freezing level well south of the Aleutians, but otherwise 4,000 foot freezing level over the Aleutians and into the northern Bering. Surface freezing level, you have to go all the way just off the Arctic coast there, but otherwise 6,000 foot cutting across down through the western coast. Icing conditions for Friday, 9,000 foot and above. I did go for considerable moderate in some of the areas in Bristol Bay and down through portions of the central and eastern Aleutians. Otherwise, I said moderate down through the Panhandle. For jet stream on Friday, low pressure systems around 130 knot jet in the Gulf region, otherwise 65 knots cutting across the southern Panhandle, 40 knots in through south central, and that carries up into the Seward Peninsula, otherwise 75 knots as you get into the western Aleutians. 9,000 foot winds, weak low pressure systems across the mainland into the Prince William Sound area, otherwise weak and light and variable across much of the mainland. 35 knots as you cut across the Alaska Peninsula, and 30 to 35 knots as you get into the Panhandle. 3,000 foot winds, again weak low pressure systems in the mainland, over the mainland, and light and variable winds, otherwise 30 to 35 knots coming across the YK Delta into the Alaska Peninsula. 40 knot winds as you get into the Gulf, 30 to 35 knots as you get near the Panhandle. Turbulence for Friday, areas of isolated to considerable moderate across portions of the Alaska Peninsula and into the south central area with below 6,000 feet in Prince William Sound and below 3,000 feet across portions of the Panhandle, and again below 4,000 feet across the Alaska Peninsula, with areas again considerable moderate in some of those areas. Be leery of that, and you might see a few pop-ups again across the interior in the afternoon.
Welcome, stargazers. I am Trace, your neighborhood science nerd, and early this week is a beautiful full moon. Each monthly full moon has a name, and August has many of them. It's called the grain moon, the barley moon, and the green corn moon because corn is green right now and we're nearly to harvest time. It's called the red moon because it can be low on the horizon and red this time of year. And the Native American tribes of the Great Lakes called it the sturgeon moon because now is a good time to fish for North America's largest freshwater fish. Whew. To see it, grab a beverage, set up your lawn chairs, and toast the last full moon of the summer season. If you're out there around 1 a.m., you'll be able to catch Saturn and Jupiter in the south and Mars in the east along a line with the moon. Amazing. Crack one open for me and keep looking up.
We're at Vandenberg Air Force Base. We're about 20 minutes before the launch of ICESat-2. You might see the white light off in the distance. That's the Delta II rocket.
It kind of feels like an idea that was always going to just stay an idea. But no, it's real. It's sitting on top of the rocket.
You know, and for me, it's kind of surreal. Like you say, it's been 10 years, and it's hard to believe. It's like, we're really here? This is really about to happen? It's totally cool.
This is Dr. Tom Newman. Over the years, his work has taken him to some pretty remote areas to study changes in the ice regions of our planet. And his research, among many others, has defined the goals of the new NASA satellite, the Ice, Cloud, and Land Elevation Satellite 2, or ICESat-2.
And we have ignition. And
The story of ICESat-2 really begins with ICESat-1. ICESat told us all kinds of cool things about the ice sheet and about sea ice that we didn't really know to ask. That data allowed us to measure elevation change of ice sheets in a way that we hadn't been able to before, and showed that all the action on the ice sheets, the places that were really changing quickly, were around the edges. So when we were thinking about what could we do better next time, we knew that was one key component.
In addition to the edges of the ice sheets, ICESat-2 needed to measure a dimension of sea ice that remained elusive: its thickness. To figure out how thick sea ice is, you can measure the height of ice sticking out of the ocean, or freeboard, and compare it to the height of water between the sea ice flows, called leads.
The problem is, sea ice is really dynamic, and those cracks open and close various places in the ice pack throughout the day, throughout the year, and what we need to do is have measurements of the ocean whenever it's available, wherever it occurs in the sea ice pack.
To solve that problem, ICESat-2 was designed with a fast pulsing laser instrument to take precise, near-continuous measurements across its 3 pairs of beams. For 10 years, everything about the mission was designed to measure rapid changes in the most rapidly changing part of the cryosphere. But it has to get into space first.
But it's a huge, huge transition going from the ground to in space. We've spent better part of 10 years, thousands of people have been involved, and actually seeing the rocket there on the pad with all of that work kind of all put together in one place, it's pretty amazing. And then getting up in the middle of the night to go watch the actual launch, it's sort of surreal in a way, because you've put so much time into it for so long, and actually seeing it over there is like, whoa, you know, it's a big deal.
4, 3, 2, 1, 0. That's off. That's 1.
there it went. That was Atlas. The last Delta II, heading on out. So Atlas has been turned on over the course of the first few weeks of the mission, really culminating for us with the laser. So this is our first look at sea ice data from ICESat-2, and it looks fantastic. The signal levels look great. We've got plenty of photons there. We're capturing ridges. We can clearly see the ocean. All sorts of cool stuff in there, and this is just our first data. It's only going to get better from here on out.
The data from ICESat-2 is well on its way into digging deeper into the unknown dimensions of sea ice sheets, and glaciers. It will shed light on changes in sea level and global weather patterns, and once again find new things about ice we didn't know to ask.
So my heart is definitely racing. I don't know about anyone else's. This is the stuff nerds dream of.
Slight chance the flight may see ICESat-2 in their center windscreen. 10 seconds. 9, 8, 7, 6,
That's gonna
5,
happen.
4, 3, 2.
And now, marine weather around Alaska.
Good afternoon, everybody. Let's take a look at the sea ice analysis for today. Ice concentrations along the Arctic coast, less than a tenth there, otherwise pretty open in Alaska waters. For southeast marine forecast, inside waters winds generally from the south at 15 to 25, seas as high as 5 feet. For the outside waters, winds generally from a southwesterly direction, 15 to 20, seas as high as 9 feet. And we do have some small craft advisories out through Friday for some of these areas, so please check the listings there before you head out. And for Saturday's forecast, inside waters winds generally from the south, 15 to 20, seas as high as 4 feet. In the Gulf region, winds generally from the southwest, 20, with seas as high as 11 feet. Marine forecast for south central in Prince William Sound, winds generally from the northeast at 20, seas as high as 4 feet. In the Gulf region, winds generally from a variable direction, around 15 knots, and seas as high as 9 feet. For the Cook Inlet region, winds generally from the northeast at 20, seas as high as 5 feet. In the Kamishak Bay Area, winds generally from the northwest at 10, seas as high as 3 feet. For Saturday's marine forecast for south central, Prince William Sound, winds generally from the northeast at 15, seas as high as 2 feet. Gulf region, winds generally from the southeast at 10 to 15, seas as high as 6 feet. And for Cook Inlet region, winds generally from the south at 10, seas as high as 3 feet. And for Kamishak Bay Area, winds from the northwest at 15, seas as high as 3 feet. For Kenai, or Kodiak Island and Alaska Peninsula around Kodiak Island, winds generally from the west at 20 to 30 with seas as high as 15, and on the south side of the peninsula, winds generally from the west at 25, seas as high as 12 feet. And yes, there is some small craft advisory out through Friday for a lot of this region and gale warnings. Please check your listings for those areas. And for the north side of the peninsula, winds generally from the west at 30, seas as high as 10 feet. For Saturday, winds coming down around Kodiak Island, winds generally from the west at 10 to 15 with seas as high as 7 feet. And for the south side of the peninsula, looks like winds are going to be out of the northwest at 15, seas as high as 4 feet. And for the north side of the peninsula, winds generally from the west at 10 to 20 with seas as high as 6 feet. For Loose and Chain Friday, winds generally from the west at 15 to 20, seas as high as 7 feet there, or 8 feet. And for Saturday, winds generally from the southwest at 20 to 25 with seas as high as 7 feet. And there is some portions of the Aleutians that does have a small craft advisory out for tonight. For Friday's marine forecast for West Coast, looking at winds generally from the northwest at 15 to 20, seas as high as 10 feet. There's in the Kuskokwim Bay region, look for winds out of the west at 30, seas as high as 10 feet. And yes, there is a small craft advisory out through Friday for that region. And for Saturday, winds generally from the south at 15 to 20 with seas as high as 8 feet. Looks like around the Pribilos, winds from the southwest at 25, seas as high as 8 feet. Friday's forecast for the Arctic coast, winds generally from the west, 20, seas as high as 4 feet, and open waters up there in the Arctic coast, and the open areas up to 4 feet. And then for the northwest coast, winds generally from the northeast at 20, seas as high as 5 feet, and down through the Bering Strait region, winds generally from the north 15 to 20. For Saturday's forecast, Arctic coast region, just off the Arctic coast there, winds from the east at 15, seas as high as 3 feet in the open waters. And for the northwest coast, winds generally from the northeast at 15, seas as high as 3 feet, and through Bering Strait region, winds variable in direction 10 to 15, seas as high as 4 feet. For tonight's weather, a low near Kodiak Island, 994 millibar low, with a weakening included front out ahead of that system, with moderate to heavy rain in Prince William Sound along the northeast Gulf Coast and down through the Panhandle, with lingering showers through the interior and some rain showers through the southwest and Alaska Peninsula. Otherwise, a thermal low through the interior and fog along the Arctic coast. For Friday's weather, weakening low in the Gulf, 1,000 millibars now a trough approaching or moving through the Panhandle with moderate to light rain lingering.
These forecasts are for planning purposes only. Call 1-800-WX-BRIEF for a formal pre-flight briefing. Always file a flight plan before you go flying. The U.S. Coast Guard Auxiliary urges you to leave a float plan with a friend or the harbor master before you go boating.